Welcome to the 20-Minute Talk Show. I'm really excited to introduce Mr. Dan Baack. He is the Assistant Dean Director and for the MBA program. So we have 20 minutes, so time starts now. So thank you very much for joining us on the show. So do you mind telling me a little bit about how you've come to the University of Denver?
Sure. So I earned a PhD in International Business and Marketing from St. Louis University. And then after that, I got my first academic tenure track position at Ball State University in Muncie, Indiana. And while there are many things that I miss about Ball State, the student body was wonderful, my colleagues were fantastic. My wife, as you know, Vi, is from Taiwan, was a little too much corn and not enough tall buildings for her. So I went on the job market. I was looking at Chicago, Boston, Denver area, came out here and just fell in love with the city. I know a lot of people love the mountains. I never go to the mountains. I fell in love with the city. I really thought this was going to be a great place to raise my kids. And I was just really excited about the opportunity to be at the University of Denver. It's really an incredible place to work, incredible students, incredible support. And so I was really excited when they offered me the job. So I came here as a marketing faculty member. There are different ranks in faculty. Faculty are very hierarchical and very old-fashioned. So I came in as an assistant professor, earned tenure a couple years ago. So I'm now an associate professor of marketing. And then our new dean, Dean Crite, morning in April, I got a phone call at about 9:30 from his assistant saying, the dean wants to meet with you today. Are you available at 11:30? I said to my wife, uh-oh, what did I do wrong? And he came in, or I came into his office and he offered me the position of director of the MBA program. I thought about it for a while, and then I said yes.
Wonderful. So it's interesting, you know, how you've come all this way to become the assistant in the program. So do you have any experience or any challenges that you've, I guess, had along the way that you'd like to share?
Oh, a bunch. What we're trying to do with our revised curriculum is really innovative and something I'm really proud of, but there's a lot of coordinating cost. It puts faculty outside of their comfort zones. It puts staff outside of their comfort zones. And so there are a lot of challenges in improving the value proposition for our students. One of the first things I did is I realized that, as I've said to you and said to your classmates, I realized that we couldn't wait for the new curriculum to come out to make changes. So a lot of what we've focused on last year and this year has been to add value for the second year now, last year, first year students. And that innovations come with some stress. We tried to work with Newmont Mining in the fall, and there were some strengths and weaknesses to that engagement. The faculty learned a lot about the difficulties of working with live clients. I think we learned from that and we're doing better in our next engagements. We put into place the Israel, Uganda, and Australia trips, and I think those are adding real value, but as you know from the Israel trip, those are different asks of students and different asks of faculty. So the challenge is to support faculty. They joke that managing faculty is like herding cats. And so the challenge is to figure out how to get faculty to move in the same direction without really any ability to punish or even really reward them. So it's a lot of building relationships and reminding faculty of the real power that comes from impacting students' lives and using that to kind of nudge them in the right direction.
Yes, I mean, I'm in the MBA program now and I feel a lot of value. So I'm excited to go on the trip to Israel. So thank you for making those changes and making some of those things happen. It is going to be a big value for us. What kind of experiences I guess, or what's different between teaching and managing a program? Do you feel like they're pretty similar, or do they have similar challenges? I mean, because you have two roles. You're a professor plus you manage the program. I mean, how do you manage all of that?
You try to have a core identity across all of your different facets of your life, right? So I'm a father. That's a different role. My interaction with my kids is very different than my interactions with students, but I try to be transparent and authentic and loving in both contexts. As a program director, as a husband, as a colleague, I try to keep those core values consistent across all of them. It's hard not to lose your patience with your kids, but other than that, I think I'm pretty consistent. But it's a different role being a teacher. A teacher, with the teacher, you have the power of the grade. As a program director, if I see students that aren't behaving like they should be, it's more difficult to hold them accountable. And so you have difficult conversations, and there are a couple of your classmates, some of the students who graduated last year, that maybe weren't performing their GA role, or were being disrespectful to faculty, or disrespectful to teammates on a team, student group issues. And so a lot of times in that program director role, it's a lot more about mediating conflict, and just like I remind faculty that they're doing this because students get learning from it and we're transforming lives, because we really are helping to elevate and change people's lives through the degree. I remind students that they're here and spending a not insignificant amount of money to get value out of the program. And they sometimes lose sight of that bigger picture. And I'm still learning in the role. I was talking to Professor Lowell Miller, who I know you know, at an event Tuesday night. And I was just talking about a year and 7 months or so into the position. My interactions with students are different because I'm becoming more comfortable in the new role. My dad's a professor, my aunt's a professor. I have 2 groomsmen who are also faculty. I understood the faculty role pretty deeply because I grew up around it. My dad would never be an assistant dean. He hates administrators. So it's taken some time to learn how to do this role, and I'm still learning.
Right, right. It's a lot to learn, especially with a new role. So you kind of grew up in the academic world, so your parents inspired you to be a professor, correct?
Yes and no. I was, how do I answer this without going into too much depth? I graduated with my undergraduate degree. I had a double major in English and psychology, and I was pretty good at school. I've always tested well on tests. So I had a pretty decent GRE score, and I went and started a PhD in psychology. I did research as an undergraduate in the psychology space and loved the research. I did about a year at Bloomington in Indiana, and it just wasn't the right fit. I had some family issues, I had some other issues, and so I dropped out. And I worked for maybe 4 years in the HR space, sales space, I had a couple of different jobs all in the financial industry. And I missed research. I missed writing. I missed being paid to think. And so I went back and talked with my parents and my friends. I had 2 friends that were actually at Indiana that I had gone to college with, one getting a mathematics PhD, one getting a sociology PhD. And I just realized that I missed that part. I missed using that part of my brain. So I applied to a bunch of different PhD programs in marketing, but I really wasn't going because of my dad's lifestyle or what I'd seen my dad's career be. I did not want that career. I wanted something different. I went back because I liked the work, and I loved graduate school. And then I grew to realize I really loved teaching, and I really loved interacting with students, but my primary motivation for getting a PhD was to be paid to write, to be paid to investigate questions and try to find answers, but not, when you go through a doctoral program, you get taught very early on that there's no such thing as absolute truth. So answers that just lead to more questions. And I still do that work. I was working on a paper Saturday night. I'll go to Australia early to present some research on cultural differences and how they influence choice of entry.
Okay, so I'm wondering then if you could have changed your career, what would you have done differently? Would you have been a writer? You said you love writing, so maybe what would you have done?
Sometimes I talk to my wife about, I went directly into a PhD program without not a lot, and this is true for a lot of faculty. I don't have a full MBA, did some MBA coursework, but I went directly into a PhD. I could have finished an entire MBA and then worked a little bit more and then gone to a more prestigious PhD program. And that would have opened up some, there's no way someone with my pedigree, like a dog's pedigree, we really talk about academic pedigree, my pedigree could get like a Big Ten school kind of gig. I just don't come from a high profile enough school. So I've talked with my wife before about how things might have been different. But I really like the student interaction. And if you're at a Research One school, you don't get the same sort of interaction with students. You still get it, but it's not the same. And we almost took a job outside Chicago. And I think about how that life would have been different. But no, in general, I don't have a lot of regrets. I met my wife during my doctoral program. We were classmates together. She wasn't my student. We were classmates. And I really like it in Denver. Denver's a really wonderful place for my family. I don't have a lot of regrets.
Well, then that's good that you don't have any regrets. That's great. So, what parts, I guess, if looking back on your career, would you say were some of your most successful moments?
So I think the most important successful moment of my career happens once a quarter. Once a quarter, some of my students graduate. And every single time that happens, I am happy. I go home, I say to my wife, this affirms why I work late hours while I'm away from my family more than I want to be, because I see those students happy on their way to new careers, new opportunities, and proud of what they've accomplished, and I'm proud to help support them in that process. So we'll have hooding on Friday. There won't be a lot of your classmates, but there's some dual degree students that'll graduate. In fact, I tell students I only hug you for 2 reasons: when you graduate and when you get a job. Even internships, well, sometimes it's a really good internship, because I'm just so happy and excited, and it's a moment to show affection and love and support because they're getting why they came to school, right? What they're aspiring to do or become. These are these key moments in those lives, in their life. I didn't say that eloquently. Other key moments of professional success, a really successful client course. So we did a travel class to Indonesia with Opera Software, and we provided real value to them. We put together a marketing plan, and the company used the information the students gave them, and it helped them shore up losing market share in that market. So we provided real value for the client. The students got to see their work pass the market test. It was really affirming. And then I published an article in a really, really good journal. And I know that doesn't resonate with students, but with other faculty. Doing research that your peers feel merits the best journal in international business and top 10 journals in the business space was a wonderful feeling of success.
Wow, that is excellent. I'm really touched, that you care so much for your students and you care about their success and their graduation. That's really touching. So who would you say is one of your role models? Someone you look up to?
So you have different role models for different things in your life, right? So Dean Cricht.
Oh, just pick one.
So in my administrative role as assistant dean, Dean Cricht, the full-on dean, is an important role model. Watching how he treats people with respect and dignity, how he sincerely cares, while also holding people accountable, holding people responsible, but doing it in a way that doesn't involve yelling or demeaning people. Doing so from a place of strength and respect has been an important role model for me. I've learned from him There are a lot of caricatures of leadership being slamming your hand on the table and yelling and pointing, or standing up and giving the big rah, rah, rah speech, and we're all going to end this together. And he's neither of those things. And that resonates with me, partially because I'm not particularly good at either of those things, but because it also doesn't feel authentic. And I think he is very authentic in his role, and that then kind of trickles down, if you will. And he's also just very honest. He's never lied to me. And not all deans are like that. Not all individuals, not all leaders are like that. So he's comfortable telling hard truths. And he's certainly had moments when he's been frustrated with me, and he's made that clear. But I'm fine with that. So yeah, he would be an important mentor for me.
Wow, that's great that you have someone, you can learn from to help you, be who you want to be and, for the future. So tell me maybe what your top 3 values are in life. Just 3 values.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 3 words.
Family, authenticity, and love.
Wow. Those are great values to instill, and so where do you see yourself in the next 10 years?
I don't know. I've been having interesting conversations with my wife about this. I really like what I do, but I'm also very blessed to have options. At some point I need to decide if I want to be a dean. That would involve moving away from Denver. And those are hard jobs, but there's a lot of legacy and a lot of impact. I'm not sure I have the right skill set. I'm still learning what I'm good and bad at from an administrative, from a leadership perspective. If I don't want to be a full-on dean, I'll do this role until I feel like the MBA is on solid footing and that I've met my commitments to our community when I agreed to take on this role. But I'm not going to do this for 25 years if I don't want to be a dean. So then I would transition back to faculty, teach a little bit more, focus on my research a little bit more. I said family first for a reason. It really is the most important thing to me. And I have a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old, and an 11-year-old. And so they're only going to be around so much longer, and they're only going to like me for maybe another 3 years. So I want to make sure that I'm getting as much value as I can out of that part of my life.
Wow, yeah, it's really important to keep family first in your life, and keep that in line with your career as well. So how do you feel about the MBA program here? And do you feel like it's strong compared to other MBA schools, or?
I think it is unique and differentiated. I think we operate a unique niche in the marketplace, and I think we're strong within that niche. I think we have a very heterogeneous student body, and that allows for a unique experience relative to like a Northwestern or a NYU, where some of the bigger programs, some of the M7 programs that are really known for one kind of student, and I like that heterogeneity. With the new curriculum, there's a lot more market connectivity. The fact that your class was doing a design thinking session with Comcast before you were even in a classroom is unique, and I think it's building a unique skill set. When you guys go to interview, you'll be more comfortable. I mean, you're always comfortable with everyone, but your classmates will be more comfortable interacting with business leaders, with the people that they're going to be interviewing with, than some other programs. And the new curriculum has a lot more of that interconnectivity and a lot more of that market connectedness. We've tried to infuse the old curriculum with as much of that as possible over your 2 years here, but the new curriculum just by design has more. We're also doing more work in the leadership space, and we have executive coaching, we have the Leadership Fellows program for your year. We have some things we've been putting in place to try to increase the amount of leadership, training that people are getting, a degree of self-awareness. And just think about this interview that you're giving to me right now. If you asked your classmates to go through this, some of them would be very uncomfortable. The idea of talking about your values and your leadership style and those sort of things, self-narrating, are really important concepts, and that's something the new curriculum focuses on. And then I think the other unique thing is we're small, and we have passionate faculty, so it allows individuals like you to pursue projects like this.
Right, right. Thank you. So we only have 20 seconds left. So would you describe yourself in one sentence?
I am a passionate professor who loves impacting student lives.
That's a great sentence. That's great. Thank you so much. And that's it. Time is up.
Thank you, Vi. This was fun.